Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Todd. Is it the water hole, the watering hole, the water in hole? Seems to be a lot of ambiguity.
I can tell you right now, after Brandon used the amount of water that he used to try to get this black tape, dude, my piece of paper is like soaking wet.
You yelled at him and told him to use more water.
But look at this thing. It's like, it literally has sucked up all the water. So with that being said, it's the watering hole.
Watering all the way. Hard
all
G. Watering hole. All right. Well, today on the watering hole, our friend young Ben, tries to inspire us old heads to give some good talking topics today. So Todd and I went through, and I suppose you could say we cherry picked a few of our more favorite topics, I think, off of this list. And a lot of them have to do with filming your neighbors. Trespassing neighbors, bucks we can't kill, scent control. We didn't want to talk about any of that stuff. We want to talk about filming our hunts.
Yeah.
Origin stories, things like that.
That's fun.
So let's start there, Todd. I'm gonna ask you this question. What made you want to film your hunts? Bad mushroom trip?
No, I mean, Justin, this goes back a long time. I mean, I remember my dad buying one of those big VHS recorders.
Like the shoulder?
Oh, yeah, dude, it was big. It was big. I don't know if I can find that photo to post up here, but man, who wasn't inspired at some point by Mark Drury, and those big cameras. And I remember having my mossy oak camo, my API tree stands. I don't even think we wore safety belts back in those days.
No,
lugging our bow
I was
up there.
watching, I think Drury's put a bunch of their classic videos on YouTube, and you can just watch now, old monster bucks. And there was, I'll never it's funny because I guess you forget about it and then you see it and you're like, oh man, I remember this. There was it must have been an API tree stand, kind of almost like a commercial that they put in the middle of the movie, where Mark went up the tree, and he's just got screw-in pegs, no safety belt or anything. And there was a little timer running on the screen to show you how fast it was to put it up. Because you remember they came with those T-screws.
Oh, yeah.
And you would just screw the T-screw and then set the stand down, put your strap on, and you were done. And
fold that over.
It was 45 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day being like, that's awesome. That was mobile hunting back in the day.
That was aircraft aluminum. And boy, when it
they
got
were
cold,
super light.
I know, but when it got cold, man, they make some noise. But
they did.
This is a question you asked me. So I remember being inspired by that, and just wanting to just capture the excitement. And honestly, I wanted to bring it home and just share it with my dad. There's so many times I would get out there and I would see stuff, and because he was primarily into rifle hunting, and he'd only go out and pretty much just do the rifle thing for that one weekend. There was just so much more to see that when you could expand your season just with the rut and velvet and it was great. I just loved it. I loved it. And he bought that camera, and man, as soon as I saw that camera, I don't know if a little light bulb went off. I was just he bought it because it was the whole family adventure and having the camera around the house to film graduations or whatever. My brain was like, ooh, baby, I know what I want to do with that thing.
Yeah.
But yes, I remember climbing up into those stands and just getting up there and filming and capturing it. I wish I would have saved some of that footage. I have some. I should try to look for it. I don't even know if we could. Do we even have anything around here anymore?
What?
That would watch that we with tapes? No.
Oh yeah, I got my whole setup at home. I should send you guys some of the stuff that I had from when I was a kid.
I didn't see this.
The one of my dad shooting the moose. Where do you think that came from?
Yeah. Well, why so you digitizing? Or are you taking it from VHS?
Digitizing.
That's cool.
All that footage from VHS tapes.
Yeah,
I have a VCR hooked up through this little box that hooks up to my computer, and it's annoying because you remember the old days of capturing tapes, dude, when you used to have to plug your camera in with the fire wire, and you'd have to rewind the tape to the beginning, hit play, hit capture on the computer, and it would basically just feed out into the computer. But for every hour of tape you had, you had to let it sit there and run. We used to have a computer in the office that its entire purpose was just capturing footage.
I mean, do you remember how many slides when you first started working here I had when I was taking photos?
Oh yeah, you had a whole
that
like
slide
filing
table?
cabinet.
Yes.
Yeah, full of them.
And then you'd have your little copyright and the little slides, and you'd be able to you'd have the loop, and you'd get down there. I mean, just, yeah. So listen, I was inspired by that, and I don't know, man. Once you and I started filming together, when Todd Bringnitz, I mean, definitely got to bring Todd into it, because he kind of was instrumental as well as getting us kind of teamed up and filming, you know, for some of his productions. And boy, once we kind of dove into that and started, like, man, I was hooked. I loved it. We were successful on that one hunt too.
Which one?
That one that we went right over here. That one piece of property.
You whacked that 2-year-old with a shotgun.
It was.
And I like freaked out when you shot, because we weren't using camera arms then. I'll never forget, dude. It's because it's like you're trying to be quiet and you're kind of, you know, tense. You know it's coming, but when the gun goes off 3 feet away, I'm like, oh my God. And like the camera went up and that deer died right in the field. Yeah, I mean, I remember that. But I mean, I think, you know, just looking back with what got me into filming, or made me want to start filming, was even like, I know we always I feel like a lot of us look back at, like, I felt like the Drurys were the guys that really took it to the next level.
Oh yeah.
But I remember, so, you know, when I grew up, when I was real young, so we're going back in the 80s now.
Real tree monster bucks.
Well, it was even before then.
Really?
Right? Because
I know where you're going.
Well, my dad, they weren't filming it. Well, I guess they were. It was Bowhunting October Whitetails.
Bowhunt, dude, that's a classic.
Those were my probably first videos, and that predates Drury stuff by a few years. So yeah, my dad owned an archery shop, and he would work during the day as a mechanic, and then when he got off work at night, so my mom would open the shop during the day because she worked nights. So she would open the shop, and then my dad would get off work, come to the shop. She would leave, pick up me and my sister when we got off the bus from school, bring us back to the archery shop, and we would stay there, you know, every night during the week, or however many nights the place was open. We would stay there until it closed, and then my dad would bring us home and throw us in bed, and we'd get up and do it the next day. So I can remember, this is back when we had check stations too. So he was a check station.
Those were fun.
So I got to, you know, I'm, you know, probably 8, 9, 10 years old, somewhere right in there, and spending every single night there.
Yeah.
And then when we would come home, my dad would build arrows for people. So we had a full Bitzenberger jig set up at home, and he taught me how to build arrows. So I was 8 or 9 years old, like fletching arrows.
Child labor, why not?
Fletching arrows for guys that were buying them. But he had a little TV in the shop that was always playing, like up on the cabinet or whatever, and it would be playing, like you said, old Wenzel Brothers videos.
Yes.
Bob Fulcrod was another big one back in those days. Roger Raglan was one back in the day who was like mostly like high fence hunts, but I didn't know it at the time. And I was like, man, this guy kills a lot of big deer.
Do you remember
Jiminy Christmas?
Do you remember that one lady that would hunt out of the tree lounge, stands?
Yeah. Was it?
And dude, all those bucks would come running by.
Yeah,
I don't know if they were doing
all
deer.
high fence.
I know, but my gosh, when you were a kid, dude, and you
The
saw
tree
that, you were
lounge,
like,
man.
whoa. I bought a tree lounge. That thing was
They were
hokey.
huge.
Dude, that thing was
You
hokey.
probably sleep up there, but man,
could.
How many tree lounges do you think they sold back in the day?
I do not know. But
Dude,
man,
a
you could get
ton of 'em.
comfortable. You could just kind of like lounge back and just have your gun. And
Yeah, but I would say like those Wenzel Brothers videos,
They were
Hunting
good.
October Whitetails 1 and 2. Like I actually went out. They came out on they released them on DVD, and I went and bought them. So I still have them at home.
watched
I
it
should.
in a while. We should bring that in and watch it during lunch one day. That's a good one.
I wonder if they're on YouTube or something. We should look. Those were they were doing deer drives with videos. But I remember bow hunting October Whitetails being the first video. You know, I wasn't bow hunting obviously at the time, but being the first video where they showed a deer duck an arrow. And I'll never forget like slowing it down and showing the deer drop and the arrow go over. That's like where I learned about that. And then you know, my dad got into filming hunts in the early 90s, and he used to bring me along as the camera guy. Why not? You know, so I would
that child labor again, man.
yeah,
He got you hooked.
yeah, I mean, that's where it all began for me. Like my dad was crazy into it. Like he would edit the videos together when we got home from a bear hunt or a moose hunt. Like he would do voiceovers. He had this like mixer board, so
I was getting nervous there for a while. I'm out a good 20, 30 yards from the cameraman. Should be able to hear him grunting now. can hear them. There is a bow hunter's dream.
You gotta remember, it's all like cables.
Look out, Brandon.
Like,
If Justin's pops was
everything's
still alive,
hooked up.
you'd have some competition over.
well, and he would edit. He would do voiceovers and like explain what was happening in the videos. Then he'd make copies of them, give them to all his friends. And this was like 91, 92, 93, somewhere in there. And then, and then so you and I started filming. I think my first kill of an animal on film. Because I was carrying a camera with me for a couple years, but like we didn't have tree arms then. It was like self-filming was really
We went
hard
through
to
a few
do.
versions before we found one that we liked.
Yeah. So I think my first deer that I shot on camera might have been like 2005 or 6,
think
somewhere
which one
right
mine
in there.
was.
I shot a doe. I remember. I shot a doe and Mike Willen was filming me. And then we went out. I shot her in the morning and then we recovered her. And then we went out that night and I filmed Mike shoot a doe. Those were like the first two. But I'd have to go back and look at what year that was. Maybe 05 or 06.
Yeah, I don't know when my first one was I filmed, but I do remember that one when that gun went off.
Dude. Yeah.
It's a lot easier when someone's filming. You got a gun in your hands. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, definitely. So that's what made us want to film our hunts. And now here we are 20 years later,
Still
still
shooting them.
filming hunts. So
I
now
love it.
Ben wants to know the origin story of how Bow Hunt or Die began.
How much time do we have?
I tell this one to people quite a bit because they ask me.
Well,
I wonder if our
Where-
versions of this are the same.
why not? Well, it depends where we want to go back. Like, I mean, the Bowhunt or Die thing was just like, screw it, we're doing it. We're ripping the Band-Aid off. We're doing a show, and you came up with a name, and we just started letting it rip. That's
Yeah.
but that's not really like the start of the whole start. Like, I guess if you
What do you
think
mean? Where did Bowhunter-
bowhunter.com,
Okay. So
I-
go back
you
to
know,
that.
so I mean, if we go all the way back to the beginning, let's go way. How far do you want to go back? I mean, you want to go back huntingnet.com days, hunting.net, whitetaildeer.com,
mean-
where you want to go?
Well,
You
we
tell
weren't
me.
really filming for Hunting Net, really.
Okay,
I guess
so-
we started filming for Todd
It was
Pringnitz
just on that edge, yeah.
on the
so
last year or two of Hunting Net.
HunningNet.
And then started bowhunting.com because bowhunting.com was a white knuckle sponsor
Yep.
for the first year. And that must have been, what, 20... Gosh,
Oh man,
2010.
The dates thing.
it was 2010,
Yeah,
right?
I'm just
When
gonna
Bowhunter
trust you on
Died
this.
started. Bowhunting.com,
Yeah,
I
because
think
if you just
started
do,
in
what are we
08.
14 or 15 years right now? I guess.
Yeah, but
15.
Bowhunter Die started in 2010. Bowhunting.com, we started in 2008.
Yeah.
And we were filming
Yeah.
our hunts, and we were sponsoring White Knuckle
That
and a
sounds right.
part of the White Knuckle team
Yeah.
in probably 08, 09, and then we started our own thing in 2010. I think that's right.
I always thought the Bowhunter Die was a little aggressive, but Justin was full of piss and vinegar back then, and it was all you, bro.
Well,
you, dude,
always,
you were.
there's always the story, though, that I think you always forget is that we were going to these deer shows in 2008, 2009.
Yes.
We used to split a booth with Todd at White
Yep.
Knuckle. We would be together at the booth, and we were just bowhunting.com at the time, right? And we would bring some hats and some shirts to try to sell. But unless you were like a diehard forum, member, like
Yeah.
just a random shirt that said bowhunting.com on it wasn't really appealing. So we weren't selling a lot of merch
No.
in those days.
The merch sales
And
were
so
slow.
we came back, and I remember it was must have been that spring of 2010. And I was like, we need to come up with like a cool slogan. Like White Knuckle had a cool logo.
They did.
So Todd sold a lot of merch because he had a really cool
did.
WKP with the
I agree.
antlers logo.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we need to come up with a slogan that we could put on a shirt that somebody would buy just because it's a cool slogan and it looks cool. So we came up with Bowhunter Die, inspired by my youth playing Skater Die, the video game, right? And that's where Bowhunter Die, the saying, came from. And then that fall, that September, I went on an elk hunt, or what I should say is I went on a hiking trip.
I was gonna say I
went
remember
on
it being more of a hiking trip.
disguised as an elk hunt with my buddy Dan and my buddy Mike. And I came back from that trip and I walked into the office here. I remember it was probably like a Monday morning, and you're like, we're doing a show. We're gonna do our own show. And I was like, oh, okay, we are, and you were like, yeah, we're gonna do it. What are we gonna call it? And I was like, well, we're already working on the merch. Like, let's just call it Bowhunter Die. You definitely were not on board.
I
with
wasn't.
the name.
I you know, it was a little. It seemed aggressive.
It is a little aggressive.
It is
but
a
when
little
you
aggressive.
when all you do is want to eat, breathe, sleep, and live bow hunting,
Then it makes complete
then
sense.
it makes sense, right?
I mean, how about some of our groupies who even got tattoos?
There's been a few out there.
There's been a few.
I've always
Bowhunter
kind of
Die
like thought
tattoos.
about
We
getting
should try
one.
to find one of those photos. You're gonna get one like right down your arm, Bowhunter Die, like a big one.
I want to get the antler shield.
The antler
Right?
shield's
the
cool.
antler shield with like
Right here.
the Bowhunter Die text in it, like maybe on the back of my leg or something. I don't know. Thought about that.
Back your calf. My calf's so numb now. Now would be the time to do that.
Yeah, you can't feel it
wouldn't-
anyways.
Because I didn't like doing the first tattoo I got. Maybe I would do that. That's good. Yeah. No, I won't
So-
copy your idea. That's fine.
That's when Bowhunter Die began. So 2010 was our first season.
Yeah, man.
And it was let's go back through who was filming for us at the time. It was Todd and Justin. Who else can you name? Who else can you name from season 1?
Oh, so we're just gonna name all the people who couldn't hang with us this long?
Yeah, why not? I still like a lot.
Well, of course.
Who's still around from then? Let's start there then.
Josh Ward,
Yep, Josh.
for sure. He's
There's
diehard.
one other one. There's only one
Besides
other
me
person.
or you?
Besides me, you, and Josh. There's one other person. Oh,
Oh, it
maybe
depends,
two.
like,
Maybe two.
Frankie Clinton?
Nope, they didn't come in till
Later?
season 2 or 3.
I don't think Dan Richardson.
Nope.
Who had been around that
Man, he's gonna
long?
be mad you forget about him.
Oh,
He was
boy.
actually around before Bowhunter Die.
What are you talking about? Like Fitzgerald?
'Cause, no, Fitz
Oh,
didn't start
boy.
filming for us till
Let me see what you
I
got
got our
there.
spreadsheet of
5.
team
no,
members.
no, I already know who
You
it
got
is.
it?
Yeah.
Who am I missing? Rector.
No, he came in after Clinton. Johnny Herman.
Oh, well, okay, yeah.
Herm.
Yeah.
Because Johnny and I
Dude,
were,
and that guy's just freaking, he's just good. He's good at killing deer. He is. He gets the job done.
sometimes. You could ask Johnny himself. He'd probably admit.
Herman may be mad for me forgetting him right now, but he's going to be mad at the comment that you just
Hey, he'll admit it.
Usually it's the comments that Justin makes while we lose guys, not the ones that I make.
Oh, right.
That's,
So me, you, Josh,
Yes.
Johnny. That Mike was actually filming for us,
Yeah.
Willand. Because him and I filmed together quite a bit at that time. That's
then
something we're gonna
then
get
it
into.
spun into.
But there was one more person, at least one more that you're forgetting. That was first.
Oh, geez.
Not with us anymore, but let's go. Come on,
Just put him down. You're killing me here.
Come
making me
on.
look bad.
dude. I had him send our team a little message this last fall that I posted in the group chat. Let's see how much you pay attention.
I hate that chat thing. I'm not on that chat thing as much as I need to be.
It was your idea too,
Tim,
by the way.
Troy. Well, yeah, because you had
Tim
we
and
had
Troy
16
came later.
million. Okay, let's see here. Paul doesn't count. Dustin.
Dustin.
But Paul came later. I'll never forget Paul because Paul sent in just the killer video in the beginning. Where
Morrison.
Dude, Morrison had that deer on that string that came in back in the
We met Morrison at the Ohio Deer and Turkey.
before the string,
Yeah.
and then he sent that in. Okay, all right,
That's
but I'll
when we
never
met
forget
Paul.
that. That was great. Like that was like that almost reminded me of like the Survivor.
All right,
days.
I'll give you a clue.
Oh,
This
jeez.
person you're forgetting.
Well, don't
had-
Tommy, Richie,
They came
Mike
later.
Pierce.
Later.
Oh,
I'm talking
my gosh.
OGs, first season.
Okay, go ahead.
They
Can I get a
shot.
clue?
Can you
Yeah.
get a clue? Kerfuffle. How about if I say kerfuffle? Does that ring any bells?
No.
No. Okay.
Well, I know there's Dean. There's no
he came
longer-
later.
I mean, obviously Kurt came way later. Troy and Tim were later.
Not a big deal.
Mr. Well, yes, I wanted him, and you freaking
Who is this?
Neil.
Neil.
Neil
And who
was
was
great.
Neil's filming partner?
Oh,
Oh, come on.
well, he was a police officer.
Yep.
Grant.
There you go. Grant.
Grant.
Jacobs. Neil and Grant.
Yes,
Neil's the best. I still talk to Neil.
I talked to Neil too.
I had Neil. Neil filmed
Neil's-
a little video, and he sent it in, and I posted it in our group chat. He was wishing everybody good luck.
He should come back. He should come
I
back.
tell him that every year.
Come on back, Neil.
Big deal,
Hopefully
Neil.
You're listening in.
So there you go.
I think
That
he
was
is a big deal nowadays. He did some sort of big deal stuff. I don't know
what he's doing
I don't
these
know what he's
days.
doing,
He's
yeah.
always traveling for work. So that is
Travel.
the history of Bow Hunter Die. We've had
Matt Miller.
quite a few team members over the years. The list is long
Well,
and distinguished.
it's hard. I mean, it is.
Filming is a pain in the ass, and it is not for everyone
No,
by any stretch of the imagination.
I
And I
mean,
think some
anyone that
guys
can
have gotten
do it-
burned out.
totally.
Some guys just haven't been able to produce the content, and just kind of washed out. Like,
It's a lot
It
of
is what
work,
it is.
and it can be frustrating, man. When these cameras don't work, ugh. I tell you, those GoPros, those things, I'm done. GoPro,
mine work fine.
dude, no way. The new ones that I got are just phenomenal.
The new what? They're not GoPros.
No, I think they're DJIs.
DJIs?
Yeah. Dude, man, they're phenomenal.
You know what I'm surprised about is how many
No.
people like see like the second angle and like complain about how much stuff you guys have when you're hunting. Like it's like hurting them that you have so much stuff. Like
You want to bring my backpack?
My favorite thing is when people are watching the videos and they leave a comment like, "Forget the camera and just hunt." It's like, bro, you're watching a hunting video. If we forgot the camera, you'd have nothing to watch. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
And thank God it's gotten better. I mean, because there is no doubt, man. Some of the early camera arms that I used to use until Fourth Arrow really kind of took the time to kind of perfect something, and be able to now be in a position where you can leave the bases in the stands and so forth. I mean,
Do you remember what
my
our first
gosh.
camera arms were that we used? Do you remember what they were called?
The third arm.
Well, no, before that.
Well, before the third arm.
It was the Hunter Cam Cradle. Do you remember those things?
No, I do not remember the third arm. I remember using quite a bit.
Is that what it was called? Third arm, yeah. That was
Yeah,
the
there was
one.
a
That
third
was,
arm.
that
It had
one
a-
wasn't
had a
bad.
curve
It had
in
that
it.
curve. I never had one. You
Okay.
used that.
Yeah. It had
I
that
used the
curve.
Hunter Cam, and then I used a Muddy arm for a while.
Yeah, the
which was
money
pretty good.
wasn't bad, but it was pretty bulky. And it was
It
pretty
is.
big.
They need to figure out a way to make that base collapse.
Yeah, that thing was
would
just
be
too
super
big.
nice.
But-
But there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of camera arms out there now, but really Fourth Arrow I think is the only one that's making like a quality enough arm that you could put a decent camera on it. I feel
Yeah.
like there's a lot of options out there.
For
and,
lightweight
like,
stuff.
Yeah, really lightweight, mobile. You
Yeah.
know, either using a phone or a little teeny camera.
Still amazes me though how well some of these phones can do.
Oh, they're pretty.
I
dude,
mean, when I'm in a pinch, I mean, I know we were working.
our
on
phones take better videos than our $5,000 camcorders.
I found a couple dead deer, and I didn't bring them. I left them out there because I don't have any salvage tags. But, dude, it's amazing. I mean, it's just. There's one that I found.
Where was that at? At your one of your places?
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
And then I found this one too.
You think that one looks like it's kind of by some water there?
They both were. You know they always. This one's smaller, but
You
unfortunately,
think they were EHD kills? They've been there a while.
I don't know. I don't know, Justin. I don't know. You know, unfortunately, I don't know. That one would have been a nice deer this year, but
I say that about a lot of deer that end up not making it.
they just.
It's a pretty common thing.
It's tough to be a deer, but there's no doubt. You know, to your point, Brandon. I mean, dude, it is a lot of work to be able to really capture what you want to capture between the GoPro. You know, having a backup camera on top of your camera, which I run. Not everyone does that, but it's amazing how much has changed, Justin. Because we used to be so dependent on that big camera, and
Sure.
now things have changed to where, you know, the GoPro or DJI or whatever your
Whatever
point of view
action
camera, your action
POVs,
camera,
yeah.
you know, does just such a great job. You know, just with the sound quality, and I just love the fact that just captures that much more. Like
Sure.
that's just kind of cool. I just feel like when I watch those shots, I just feel like I'm more connected with the person. I just feel like I'm more in the tree versus when you use the big camera and it's like, it's just like this. So I love the.
Yeah, I look back through like some of our old hunts and footage, and I see all these random ass weird cameras mounted on my bow, or like I'm like, oh
We've
god,
done
yeah,
it
that
all.
thing was a piece of junk. You know, like we've tried so many things. I was going through trying to clean up a bunch of my like old camera gear, just organizing, getting rid of stuff
I
I'm
did
never gonna
too.
use, dude. And I found all sorts of like crazy like Picatinny rail mounts that I used to put behind my stabilizer. Do you remember those?
Yes.
They were like an L bracket.
Yep.
You know, and I had a pick rail on the top, and then I'd find some sort of pick mount that I could put a camera on. It's just like
The
amount
problem
of
is, you know,
things.
every time you put it on your bow, dude, you know, you either
Yeah, I
drop your
hate-
bow arm after the shot, or you're turning quick.
Yeah,
and
yes,
just-
but I will say, was it Paul Morrison this year that filmed shooting that elk, I think, with his phone mounted on his bow. Dude,
That was pretty good.
pretty good.
That was good.
I was like, when I first, like, he told me what happened, and I was like, send the footage in. We'll take a look at it, see if we can use it. And he sent it in, and I was like, dude, this is great.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe there's something to be said for that.
More
So-
iPhones in the tree. Now we're just going to have iPhones everywhere.
You could, but then
Hey, Siri, start recording.
But then how am I going to play my games?
Sorry, I don't understand.
She doesn't
She doesn't
understand that. It's not going to work.
You know, for as good as they say all this AI stuff is, I don't know, man.
What are you talking about, bro? I mean,
Sometimes it is, but like
there's some
sometimes
cool
there's
stuff.
just very simple things that I want to have done. I'll give you the perfect example. Last night, my daughter was at basketball practice. I went on my second workout of the day. I figured I had an hour while she's at practice. I'm going to go.
second workout of the day.
I'm gonna
I think he's
go-
kind of flexing right now. Is what
No,
they call
I'm
that.
just telling you what I was doing. Okay, so I had to go do this. And I was resting, recovery, no weight last night. Just a good 3-mile walk.
Sounds like he's got a coach now too.
What do you mean?
Go ahead.
So I knew kind of what time it was, and I was like, okay, I got, because I asked my phone. I had my AirPods in. My phone was in my pocket. I asked my phone what time it was. She told me. I was like, okay, sweet. I got like 20 minutes, and I have to be back to my truck because practice is going to be over. I had no idea how far away I was from my vehicle. I had the mapping application open. It knew where my vehicle was because it dropped a pin and said, your parked vehicle is here. So I just wanted my phone to tell me how far away am I from my parked vehicle. Couldn't do it. Had no idea what I was asking it to do. I tried everything. I tried for like 5 minutes just because I didn't want to take my phone out of my pocket.
I mean, according
And
to
I was like, hey, Siri, open Apple Maps and tell me how far I am from my parked vehicle. Seems like a pretty straightforward thing. Couldn't do it.
according to NVIDIA.
Dude,
Great
NVIDIA's
stock that it
stock
is.
is their earnings were insane too.
Yeah, so clearly AI,
Well,
they're fixing all
whatever.
these problems. These
I
new chips are
guess.
going to fix it. Soon it's going to be like, Justin, you have exactly 18 minutes and 23 seconds at this pace to get back to your car. It's coming.
Fine. All right.
It's coming.
Hunting and I'm going to add to this. Hunting and filming solo versus with a friend. Your opinion.
Listen, they're both fun. I love them both. When you're with the right friend, it's a great time.
Meaning like filming with them? Like in the
Well,
same tree or
yeah,
just like
dude, listen,
sharing a hunting
Film-
camp together?
filming-
What are we talking here?
Filming somebody over the shoulder and having success is a blast. But selfishly, when it comes time for me and bow hunting, it's always been about that one-on-one time in the tree by yourself. Like I don't know. For me, because of my just psycho entrepreneurial start and just always go, work, do. Dude, bow hunting was always kind of my. Dude, it's like your private time, man. You get there, and before these dumbass phones, dude, it was like you, the tree. You didn't even
Just
care
me
if
and
you.
a- just me and
Well,
a
dude, you
tree.
didn't even care. I mean, like if you didn't even have a watch on, like, dude, you just waited till sunset, right? And then you hike back to your.
Did you ever have like one of those little stick-on quartz watches on your bow?
Dude, yeah, 100%,
day?
and the compass too. I think it was a compass too. Like I
Had
was
no
hunting.
time
I was
to
hunting so many spots where I wouldn't know what direction to head.
I remember my dad gave me a pin-on compass. Like it was either on my backpack
With the
or my
safety
coat.
pin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was like built into the compass. It was like a ball.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
gonna be
it was
you're gonna like pull
like
that.
where am I going to be at?
What was
That's
that
going to
noise?
require.
You're gonna
me.
pull that. You're gonna pull that up and be like, yeah, okay, yeah, I gotta head west here.
Yeah.
No, those things are.
It's kind of funny.
I like them both. I think I go through this period where, and I actually kind of like it because Josh and I the last couple of years have been kind of getting in this role. It's kind of fun, like, the turkey thing, having a buddy with you, a turkey hunt, that's kind of cool. The turkey thing's kind of fun. You can be loud. Who cares? You can just make moves more. You can do more stuff. I think that's a blast. But then, like, when the bow hunt season first starts, open, like the opener, like it's the first couple weeks or whatever, I don't know. You're just so jonesing to be in the tree by yourself. Like, I'm totally cool. Like, let's just do the lone wolf thing. Let's, hunt by yourself, go in. But then as the season kind of progresses, I start looking forward to that trip when Josh is going to come because, like, this is cool. Because when you start feeling like maybe you're even getting burnt out a little bit or just like, oh, my gosh, do I want to go in there or not? It's kind of fun when you're like, come on, dude, let's go. You know, you're kind of then start pushing each other, and then before you know it, it's like
I
you're
don't
in the
know
car
that
going.
I don't know that you're pushing each other. I think it's you
Okay,
just
fine.
enjoy pushing Josh.
Justin, I
if I
think it's
asked
pretty
Josh-
obvious. I just like pushing everybody. I mean,
That's true.
That might just be the.
That's very true. Brandon agrees. Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got
May
to
as well
push.
be
We
you.
got to freaking push, man. No pushing,
Yeah.
you get nowhere.
Yeah, I used to. I mean, Mike and I filmed together for many years, you know, and we had some awesome times. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I do miss that, but I feel like it's like anything. It's like you do something, and then you want to do something else, and then you
Yes.
do that, and you're like, oh, well, I kind of miss that, and then you do that, and you're like, I kind of miss being by myself. So I don't know. I kind of agree with you. There's pros and cons to each.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to filming, you know, I think it sure is a heck of a lot easier when you're with somebody else. We're just adding a whole nother layer of, you know, difficulty to hunting, which is already difficult.
But the thing is, like, I'm at such the sick level with it now because, man, I don't know. Like, if I wasn't filming, I don't know that I'd have as much fun. I would for a little bit, but there's something about just knowing that you had the GoPro on, you got that camera on, you got everything lined up the way you wanted it. Like, dude, it's freaking cool. I love that. I love it. I love it.
Fair enough. I can agree with that. And it's just, you know, like we said with the camera equipment, we carry a lot with us, but it's way less than we used to, and everything's way better. Self-filming used to be a lot harder than it is.
Dude, those batteries sucked. They were super heavy.
Well, and the cameras were huge, and the
Cameras
camera
were
arms
big.
were huge, and you didn't
Tapes.
have a GoPro or a point of view or a 360 camera.
Just think when you could start putting in that SD card. Do you remember those tapes?
Oh
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
having to pull
boxes
them
full
out,
of
then
them.
you were worried about that they were going to get wet, and then you
You
were
had to bring
changing-
extra ones with you
Oh,
in case you got to the end of one.
People have no idea.
Some people do. Like, we have no idea because there's guys out there that used to film for the original Drury videos
Yeah.
and the Real Tree videos that had ridiculous cameras and these crazy monstrosity arms that they made themselves. Like, those guys really know what it's like. We
Yes.
kind of came in at the time when things were just starting to get
Well, it was
better.
fun because the technology just kept getting better. I mean,
Because
dude,
we
I
went from an
remember-
SD camera. Then when we started, we had Canon GL2s or GL1s, whatever they were.
Well, I mean, I
And they
feel like
were-
I started with VHS, but
yeah,
go
but I
ahead.
mean, when we really started,
Fine,
like,
yes.
yeah, we started like carrying a camera with us.
I remember VHS to even 8mm. Like, dude, you felt like you were money when those little guys came out. It was like,
yeah, but there was no
this
like,
is gonna be
there was no
awesome.
self-filming. Then there was no camera arms. There was nothing.
No,
like
I know.
trying
We
to
were just
film your.
Yes.
Yeah, you would film, but there was no hunt. You know,
There was a tripod, and sometimes I would try, but I wasn't very successful.
would you really like on the ground?
Yeah. Oh, dude, that one property we had in Wisconsin with the pine trees. You remember it,
Yeah.
dude. Back in the day, you could go in those pine trees, and there just were so many deer. And you could put the camera just on a tripod. You didn't have to have a camera because you weren't even hunting in a tree. You know, and you
Right.
just set it on the ground, and it was just like they would just come down that same direction all the time. It was a freaking blast. It was a blast.
We need to get back to that. That's what we need. More deer. Where are all the deer, Todd?
We're not going there today.
What states
We're
have
not-
good populations of deer? Still, any? I feel like
I
there's
feel like
pockets of 'em.
Ohio and Missouri and
But I wonder
Kansas.
if I want. How did you?
I didn't mean to say
Kansas.
Kansas. I
was
meant to
gonna
say Kentucky. That's what I meant to say. I feel like Kentucky's getting a lot more deer, or maybe it's just getting more on the scene. I don't know.
Or
I don't
maybe
know.
we just feel that way because that's what we see, like the curated. You know, because everybody feels that way about Illinois. You know, you watch Tyler Rector's video from the other night, and it's like, yeah, there's no shortage of freaking deer in Illinois.
Well, I think Southern Illinois is a little bit different than up here in Northern Illinois, dude. Yeah, I mean, I know Kurt the other day sent the video. He was like, yeah, I think he was ripping on me specifically because he's like, "There's no deer around here," and it was like, dude, I was like, "Come on, dude." It was like super high pressure. It was like 2 degrees out. I was like, okay, a bunch of deer herded up and they came out of the woodwork a little bit. Fine, that's fine. But generally, when they're all dispersed out, there's just not as many deer around here. I mean, listen, when I grew up, Justin, I'm telling you right now, when I would go to Wisconsin, dude, when we used to leave our home in Palatine, okay, get on I-90 over by what used to be Poplar Creek movie theater, whatever that was. Dude, you saw deer when you left there and we drove all the way up to Green Lake, Wisconsin. You'd see hundreds of deer hundreds. I mean, it was that amazing. And then when you got up there, when shining was legal, and you could drive around and you would see hundreds and hundreds of deer. Dude, that was, I mean, I remember bringing the camera in those situations and filming out of the car and just seeing deer. And
spotlighting deer.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You
It
could do
was
it
totally
until
legal.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, dude. You could totally do it. It was totally legal. I mean, it was so awesome. The deer numbers are not like that anymore. They're not. I mean, I feel like the old guys talking about duck hunting. Okay, we're going to move on. There are less deer. There are less ducks.
R.I.P. deer.
It's okay. But to answer your question, I would like people to comment on where do they believe the highest.
Because that's where we want to go.
Well, I would just like to know. I mean, just for myself to kind of, I remember when Lance worked here, and Lance, invited me down to Mississippi a couple of times. There was quite a few deer in Mississippi. I mean, it's so funny because they're just, size-wise, they're just completely different.
Sure.
I mean, they're just. So I remember seeing my first Mississippi
the question
deer.
is
Like,
do you want to see like numbers of deer, or do you want to see quality of deer?
Well,
I
know what my answer is, but I mean, it was really neat to see a lot of deer, though. There is just something about like, whoa, that's just cool. But
a target-rich environment.
Yes, it's always
may
helpful
say.
in filming and in success.
Yeah. I don't know.
But we all want to see the big one too, and you usually are not going to have the big ones in those higher populated states, Louisiana, Mississippi, some of those areas, the North Carolinas. I mean, where they do have deer, but man, they're dinks. They're a little dinky. Alabama.
Not all of them.
No, but
some of them
there's
are
a lot
good.
more little ones. So
Fair enough. All right. Anything else you want to discuss today, Mr. Graff?
well, we do have a fun show that is coming up. That is always listen. Wisconsin shows are always fun.
Oh, you mean a deer
Trade
show?
show. Yeah. Dude,
I thought you meant like a episode show.
I don't know that it will ever be
The heyday
yeah.
of Madison.
That was amazing. The Wisconsin Madison show, that was a premium show. I don't really know what happened to the destruction of that because that had nothing to do with COVID or anything like that. That just, I don't know whatever happened with that show and why it dismantled the way it did. But
We should do a deep dive. What happened to the Madison?
I don't know what happened. That thing was so
Deer and
amazing,
Turkey
dude.
Expo.
I used to really enjoy that show.
I mean, I remember being a kid and being younger, and we would get up early.
We were
in the
there
morning.
with Todd.
Yeah, but even before that, I mean, back in the 90s,
dude,
dude, when I was in high school and earlier, middle school, like we'd get up and leave our house at like 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. or whatever time.
See deer on the way there.
See 100 deer or more on our way to Madison. We would go to either Denny's or Perkins for breakfast. Like we had a routine. We'd stop in for breakfast. We'd get over to the show like right about the time it was opening. There was always the dude outside cooking kettle corn.
Yes, oh, dude, I was just going there. The freaking that guy must have made a mint in kettle corn.
And
oh my
get
gosh.
some kettle corn on your way in and walk around and walk up and down all the aisles with all the deer mounts. See all the deer mounts, and then it was just a total zoo, just nut to butt. That whole place.
That place was crazy. You could hold a baby bear. They have a whole baby bear cub there. Remember that?
I do remember that. There was a picture of you out here with Craig, I think, right?
Yeah.
Holding the little baby bears.
That was a great time. But we are looking forward to that show. Trade booth is getting ready. Lots of Bowhunter Die merch that we're getting ready.
Yes.
Come see
us. That
us.
is the last weekend in March.
Mm-hmm.
At the Kalahari in the Wisconsin Dells.
Which is a good show. Which is a good,
great show
solid
last year.
whitetail.
Our first year back last year.
Yeah,
it was a
good, solid whitetail deer hunting show. Just
few too many Packers and Brewers fans, but it is what it is. Can't win them all, I suppose.
See, Justin's on his way to getting punched again.
What do you want me to say? Got to roll with my teams, Todd. Sorry.
Well, we do have turkey hunting coming up. Do we have any more hunts? Are we finally done with our hunts? Man, we aired a lot of hunts this year. A lot of dead deer. Make sure you catch up on some
Frankie
hunts.
killed one late season. We still got Matt Millard to go through. Who else are we missing, Brando?
I think we might have a Paul Morrison.
Another Pimo hunt?
Really?
I thought we did.
I could be wrong. I'm just going off the top of my head.
I don't know. We got to ask. We'll have to look and see. Although I really would like to do something unique maybe with Matt Millard's hunt. It's a pretty amazing adventure that he had. I know we've been tossing around the idea of maybe a separate series or a new series of starting maybe that's the kickoff to that new series because it's pretty epic,
dude.
It's
I just keep thinking
every
of
time
that.
I watch that footage I'm like, oh my goodness.
Stay
And then,
tuned, 'cause that footage is coming.
I feel so bad for Matt because we were in Nashville at the NWTF show.
Oh, don't get me in
and
trouble right
some
now.
dude came up, that knew Matt,
Yes.
and he was with his buddy.
Sorry, Matt.
And he was like, "Hey, man, do you have that footage of that deer that Matt shot in Iowa?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have it." So I was showing it to this dude. Because he wanted to show his buddy. He's like, "Dude, check this out, right?" And so I'm showing it to him, and you come up over my shoulder and do like an Instagram story, right? And it's like, Justin loves checking out big bucks or something like that. And you post, well, did I get
It was harmless.
Yeah, unless you're Matt Millard, who responded, and he's like, "Just way to rub it in, guys."
Matt,
Pain.
I'm sorry. But listen, if you can't live through your mistakes, then
That
then you're not worth living. I mean, you just gotta listen. We're all screwed up. I mean, just thinking about before.
What's the biggest buck you ever?
Well, that's what I was
screwed
just
up
getting
on?
ready to talk about, dude. I mean, I just think about the days before I was filming and how many deer I just shot and missed. Didn't wound. I mean, just dumb shit, man. Just shot and missed, and oh man. I remember this one time in Wisconsin. Dad, that was a fun property, that swamp property. On that point, and you were on that point before.
Mm-hmm.
You know that point that came out. We had this wooden stand on the north side of it, dude. And I remember this good buck comes by, dude. It was nice. I mean, I was younger, so back then maybe it was 130 inch buck. But
Right.
dude,
It looked like a 200.
It was
then.
a 200 as far as I'm concerned. And he comes by, dude, and I just completely just shoot and whiff and miss this thing, dude. And it's like, and I'm like mad. I'm singing the blues, dude. Then like another one comes by, and I ended up shooting and missing that one too. It's a good thing we couldn't film those days. I looked like the biggest moron ever. But I mean, it was just so much. Oh man, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just freaking awesome. But I missed some deer. I did miss some deer. So
You ever
Matt,
miss-
don't feel
you
bad.
ever
It's all
miss,
about
like,
Matt.
a big one though, like a jumbo. Because I'm not sure that I have.
Yeah, I missed a pretty big one.
Oh, at the hunt club. What about that?
I
one?
missed a big one. Yes.
Was that the one?
Yes.
That was a grande.
That was a
like
big
when I
one.
first kind of met you.
That sucked.
think.
That hurt.
You didn't miss him.
I didn't kill him either. I think he lived. And I'll tell you a messed up story, and this probably will get out and probably get me in trouble. Dude, I met you know what? He did die.
Yeah, I was gonna say
He did die. And somebody may be listening to this right now, and you're a schmuck, and you could have brought me that deer. All I
It had
wanted to
your
do
arrow
was
in it.
see it. Yeah, and that guy's a loser. And he
Had
could
your
have
arrow in
freaking brought it to
and
me.
they knew it was you.
And I know who you are.
F
And
that guy.
that's not cool. Because I listen, I wouldn't have taken it. I mean, like, just fair is fair. Like, just, you could have showed it to me. Dude, he totally found it. I think he found it where in an area where he wasn't supposed to be, is what I think it really comes down to. But and that story just came up like a year ago. A buddy of mine was like, hey, dude, I met a guy who knew a guy who was talking to a guy who found a deer that you shot, and he wouldn't show it to you or whatever.
Where is it? It's still got to be out there. He could still reconcile.
Oh, 100%,
He could
dude.
be like, you know
He's
what,
got
Todd? Because that was 20 years ago. Maybe he could be like, dude, I'm
he
sorry.
was just. I just heard this story was just brought up a year ago.
But I mean, that happened over 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
It was like probably like 03.
Is this how we're gonna end this one? That guy
04.
pissed me off. What a way to end this one, Czar.
No, I'll tell you. I don't know that I've ever missed a jumbo.
No, but I feel
But
like your jumbo story that I feel the saddest about was that one big one that you were chasing. I mean, it's not a big deal. This happens all the time. But that one one that you passed, like that story feels like so real to me to this day. You were
Yeah.
chasing I mean, it's not a big deal, but I mean, you were chasing that big buck, and you had him, and you let him go.
It was
Why
a
you let him
three-year-old.
go,
It was
I
a
don't know. I
three-year-old.
don't care. But
It
it
was
was
a big
I would have
3-year-old.
shot that something. That deer was dead if it was in my sights. And then you passed, and you were hoping to get a crack at him the next year, and then someone else got him.
Yeah,
do
but I
wish you
think
would've got
I
that
think
one.
if you pass a deer, you just have to pass it, understanding that like the chances of you killing it the next year or whatever
Yeah, I
are
get
pretty
it.
slim.
I get it.
You just have to you have to be mentally okay with that when you pass it. If you pass a deer and then get mad that somebody else killed it, well then you shouldn't have passed it in the first place.
I
But
agree.
my I had a heartbreaking weekend one time, and this was
That's a whole
probably this
weekend.
was before I really knew you, and I was hunting out west.
Was this on a date
at
or was
Steve's
it deer
place.
stuff?
It was a deer thing. It was like first week in November, something like that. I took a Friday off work. I drove out to whatever, Joe Davies County.
Yeah.
I hunted that,
Terrible
that,
county. Still is terrible.
that Friday morning, and I was sitting in a stand on the edge of this little piece of woods, and I thought the deer were gonna all come from behind me. So I'm like, it was one of those like trees that's like a V, right? Like, so it was like my stand, and then it was like a V. So I was like turned around, kind of just like leaning into that V, like kind of just looking this way, and
Those are
being nice
comfortable.
and comfy.
Little comfy
And
spots.
dude, there was like a kind of a creek bottom on my left that worked its way up to this, but it was all open. It was just one little creek bottom.
Yeah.
So I was not even paying attention out there at all. I should have been. And and all of a sudden I like, just for the heck, I'm looking, see if anything's coming. Just for the hell of it, I turn to my left, and there's like a, I don't know, maybe mid 140s buck coming right up that creek line. But dude, he's like 15 yards. He sees me turn. I turn around like this, and he's just like looking. I'm like, oh my God. He takes off running. So I'm like, gosh, I'm all mad. That night, so that's Friday evening's hunt, I decided to take a decoy out and set it up. We had tried doing some food plots, and we had what's that crap you plant out at the sorghum. Like sorghum. We had some sorghum in a food plot, and I put this decoy out there, and sure enough, dude, another like probably 140s buck. He's cutting across the CRP. He sees the decoy, and here he comes in, right?
No, man.
And dude, I shoot at him, and I shoot right underneath him, right, like right, perfect left and right, just whoop, drops underneath him. He takes off running. So now I'm like, son of a gun. Saturday I hunted. Saw a couple good bucks. It was like the peak of the rut, dude. There was just bucks everywhere. And back then we had a lot of deer out there. So now Sunday morning comes. I decide I'm going to go sit on the ground at the end of this, like kind of a point in the CRP field. And I'll never forget, dude. Before I went hunting that morning, my dad was like, because he had sat there previously. We had a kind of a spot on the ground.
Yeah.
We used to sit, and he was like, it was like a real deep washout. And it was kind of where it came to a point at the end. And he's like, hey, if a deer comes on the other side of that point, he's only like 18 or 20 yards. I know it looks farther.
This is a bad weekend.
Because of the, anytime you're shooting across open distance, it
well,
looks
we've
like
done
it's
that with the
far
ponds
away.
before. And
Yeah.
dude, it's deceptive.
And it's deceiving, right? So he told me, right, it's 20 yards. And we didn't have laser rangefinders then. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, there's no way that's way farther, right? So I see this buck down in the CRP, and
listened
dude,
to your pops.
I freaking bleed at him with the can call, right? Dude, he picks his head up. Here he comes on a beeline, right? He comes right up that ditch through my shooting lane. I don't know why I didn't shoot, but he starts coming around the edge of it. Well, I'm sitting there, and he kind of gets a little spooky, so he turns around and he goes back, and he stops right in my shooting lane. And I come to full draw, and I'm like, there's no way that's 20 yards. It's like 30 yards. So I use my 30-yard pin and just sent one right over his back.
3 bucks in one
In
weekend.
1 week,
Dude.
dude, I was so like just angry and dejected, and that was the biggest of the bunch. He might have been like a 150. He was a legit like big deer.
Well, thank God we
So-
have no footage to be able to share this with
But it
anybody.
did happen.
But it did happen. As always, guys, lots of great stuff to talk about heading forward here. We're going to be getting some special guests on soon. Justin's going to come up with that list shortly. We are. Start
Okay.
thinking. No, I got some people I think would be fun to talk to. And here we are, man. 2025, new season,
It's almost March.
ready to roll. Brandon's giving us a double thumbs up, and I'm not going to lie. I got to get to the restroom.
Fair enough. We're out.